Hello everyone, this is Mike from Dimensional Walking, and today we're going to talk about a subject that can be at times quite controversial, and maybe it's the individual I'm talking about, but we're going to call this one UFOs, Bob or Robert Dean and Ted Loman, okay? So let me start this out. One of the reasons I kind of gravitated to this subject matter is I saw a very old video that Ted Loman had done in Tucson, Arizona. So backing up a little bit, I lived in Tucson probably for 2.5 years back in the mid 90s. Okay, I loved the place. In those 2 years, I had a lot of interesting UFO type experiences. That was the time in which I was there during the time of the Phoenix Lights, which even though that it was in Phoenix, a lot of people don't know, but Tucson had a lot of strange lights and things going on um, during that same time frame. I I always tell the story. I was going to work, and this is like the day after the big Tucson lights, and I looked up in the sky, and there I saw a fleet, an absolute fleet of UFOs moving south towards Mexico. Um, which is absolutely amazing. I just happened to look up. I don't know why I was compelled to look up. I looked up and there it was in the morning. You could see them. It was nothing but UFOs. It was, I'm going to say 20, 30 of them at least. And they were moving south. And then of course I did some research. I went up to Phoenix and talked to a bunch of folks up there. But it was quite an interesting time in Arizona there. So, anyways, I lived there. There was this guy named Ted Loman. He did a program, an access cable program in Tucson. And so I don't remember how I got to find out about it, but I ended up going down there and meeting him and befriending him. He was a really great guy. He's a little interesting to see the first time because he wears this patch on one eye and had fairly long hair, I think, at the time. I think in the video it actually looks longer, but uh, in the video was actually, I guess, before I was there that I'm going to talk about. But anyways, he was a great guy. Had a lot of really interesting conversations. Went to his program. He had a little bit of an audience in the studio where he would talk, and he had a couple other people on stage and guest speakers, etc. And then they had an audience there. So I would hang out in the audience and then come and talk to him afterwards. So really great guy. Really really enjoyed his company, etc. So this one time, and I wasn't there. I'm sorry. Let me back up. I was not. This particular interview I'm going to talk about was I think it was 1993, and this interview was of Robert Dean or Bob Dean, whichever you want to call him, had come, and apparently Bob was doing something the next few days, a conference, a UFO type conference, and a MUFON meeting that he talks about in the video. But anyways, it was a pretty interesting. I don't think I ever saw this video, and I don't want to say it's a rare video. It's fairly rare actually, because it's quite a few years ago. I guess what would it be? It would be something like 25 years ago or so that this video took place. Um, and I just don't, I haven't seen it around. So all of a sudden this came to my attention. I don't know how. It just showed up in my feed or something. And I said, wow, I know Ted Loman, and, I knew of Robert Dean. And so let me talk about Robert Dean for a minute, because this is what this video is really about. I mean, I really like Ted Loman. I could probably do a video or two on Ted alone, but anyways, we're here to talk about Robert Dean. Now, Robert Dean, a very interesting guy. I think extremely credible, very easy and nice to listen to. He's got a really nice manner about him, but I really believe in my heart of hearts he's very credible. And I had checked out over the years quite a few of the items that he talks about, his credentials, etc. And he's the real deal. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it still leaves me with questions. why he was able to say in public what he said and sort of be around. You know what I'm saying? It didn't seem to be that he was hushed, even though he said he was extremely cautious in what he said. So you always want to think that, wow, he probably knows a lot more. That would really be interesting to hear. And you know, maybe some other people did. You know, obviously I didn't. I primarily am relying on this particular video. I didn't meet the gentleman in person. So, anyways, going back to Dean, he was in the military for a very long time, and he was in the Army. I believe he was a major, sergeant major, which is an interesting position. It's a pretty powerful position in the Army, and so they typically report directly to a general or a major general or something like that, and they have, you know, they have a lot of trust in these sergeant majors or major sergeants, however they say it. I forget. I'm not a military person. Sorry. I'm sure I'll get criticized for saying it incorrectly, but hey, that's the way it goes, I guess. Um, Anyways, he was based. A lot of his career was based in Europe, and he worked out of the Sharp. I think it's called the Sharp headquarters. That yeah, Sharp headquarters. I think Sharp stands for. Let me see if I can get this right again. Supreme. Um, let's see. Supreme headquarters. Uh, aliens. Allies. Power. Powers in Europe or Europe. So that if you take those words and you spell it out, I guess it's Sharp. Anyways, he worked there. He worked for some of the generals there, and he had some very high clearances there, which gave him access to some pretty interesting stuff. One of the things, well, one of the generals there was named General Pike, and General Pike uh, during this time, and we're talking about this was in this early 60s and late 50s. That it's this whole thing I'm going to talk about kind of falls in that range. Um, so during this time frame, apparently what was happening, and unbeknownst to us here in America, because we for the longest time have not heard, our media has kind of stayed away from that subject of UFOs. We even try to change the name now to UAPs. But anyways, they're still UFOs in my heart, in my mind. Um, Anyways, so apparently Europe in the 50s and into early 60s were having this tremendous wave of UFO sightings. Okay, and some of the most famous ones, apparently there was this repeated surge coming of UFOs, or a wave of UFOs coming from Russia over Europe, and it apparently was seen by many, many people. And then it kind of went up north into the Norwegian Sea. And after that, they seemed to have lost sight of him. Okay, so this apparently repeated several times over several years. And then at the same time, there was other random sightings in Europe. And so all of a sudden, this become a big concern. NATO, of course, is kind of the group that governs, as far as security goes, of most of Europe at that time, and even now, of course, we all know about NATO. But anyway, so they have this headquarters, and that's where Robert Dean was located. And one of the generals there was apparently this concern: what was this? Was this something to do with the Soviets, etc.? So we need to go out and see what's going on. So they put together this quite amazing group, according to Dean, of not only military people but scientists and scholars, and put all this together to try to figure this out. And I think they made an assumption kind of when they put the group together. Their assumption was that these were not from Russia. I think they wanted to confirm that, but I think they confirmed it pretty quickly, and they realized that. That's the reason they brought in scholars from other genre, uh, you know, religious scholars and everything else, because they really felt that this was some type of alien craft. Okay, So apparently the study went on for a couple of years, and then a report came out in I think it was 1981, and it was a blockbuster, total blockbuster. Now I'm going to be honest with you. Before this video, and it was probably out there somewhere else, but before I looked at this video, I had either completely forgot about this study or I didn't know about the study. It's probably I didn't know about it. And I was kind of blown away a little bit because, we just had these congressional hearings about the UFOs, and they all said, well, they all made it look like, this is all new stuff. Well, these studies and things have been going on for years and years and years. And this one goes back quite a ways. This really was started in the 50s, and so this was a big study. They did have some conclusions. Um, and what is really important in this is that a big group of people looked at this uh, and studied it, and they were all scholars, and they were all scientists, and they were all military people, and anybody else they could put in there that may contribute to it. This was well thought out. There's no doubt in my mind. So, anyways, there was this General Pike apparently did make, when this thing finally came out, he did make this what they call cosmic top secret. Now, I had never heard of cosmic top. I still didn't hear it until I heard it looking at this video. I had myself, being in the military industrial complex, working for aerospace companies, had gotten several clearances. Now, I was not top secret for sure, but I had some pretty interesting ones. But I had never heard, I knew all the different names and all the different classifications, but I never heard of cosmic. According to Dean, this is something that really kind of started out at NATO, and he had one of these, and apparently eventually it got over to the United States, and there's very few people that I know of. I don't know anybody. I know people had above top secret and all the other ones, the different classifications, but I never heard of cosmic before. But anyways, it was just something that struck me kind of odd. He claims that there's another one called executive, I think it was executive cosmic classification, top secret. And he said that's the president's. So the president apparently has this too. All the presidents would. So anyways, this report comes out. And at this facility, there apparently was quite a few people that had this cosmic. I was a little shocked. He said it was like 300 or 400 people that had it, but there was only 15 copies of this, and apparently they were really controlled very well. And it was just a need to know. So all those 300 or 400 people who had the clearance could not look at these reports. It was just certain people were allowed to do it. So apparently they did. And like Dean said, it changed his life. Uh, Absolutely changed his life, what he read and saw in these reports. So, anyways, let me see what else we got here. Oh, and one of the other things is in the mix here. One of the things that motivated or stimulated this study, and I didn't mention this, was the fact that at the same time as I'm seeing UFOs, they were getting numerous reports during this time that there were people, farmers and people all over the Europe, apparently were reporting weird sightings and encounters with beings. Now, these particular beings were, they were not threatening or anything. They would land a ship or something, and they would come out and they would talk to the people, and some of the people got on their ships and took off and zoomed around a little bit and then came back. And they were, allowed to, whatever they want to say. They didn't threaten them. They didn't do nothing. They just let them. They just kind of show themselves, and they, they went on their merry way, went back to dinner or whatever they were doing previously, and said, "Wow, that was pretty cool." But there were numerous of these, and apparently that also got people concerned. What is going on here? Who are these? Who are these things or beings or whatever they were? Were they people from another country. Were they Russians? Maybe at the one point they thought they were Russians that were just going around. So, anyways, that was the other thing. So, uh, anyways, some of the reasons that Dean said that there was some great concerns about releasing this directly to the public. There was two reasons he believes. He believes one was the religious angle. Okay, and this has always been a deal. Dean wasn't the first one to say that. I personally said it. Been saying it for years. It's kind of a mixed bag. You know, letting this information out. I think it has to come out. I mean, there's no doubt, and it is coming out very slowly. But the reason is, obviously, there's going to be some people in religious circles that are going to be, maybe a lot of people, that's what they were concerned about, are going to be overly concerned. What does this mean to my religion? Now we have aliens in the mix. What's going on here? There was that great worry about, chaos and confusion and everything and tipping over the norms. Okay, so that was one excuse that they said we've been keeping a tight lid on this. Okay, and this is from, during this study time. The second thing was he believes that it was a military industrial complex that wanted the technology. They found that if these aliens existed, they wanted the technology. They were very selfish. I guess in many ways the governments of the world, that they especially the big powers, basically. I'm talking about Russia and I guess, I don't know if China at that time wouldn't have been a player, but Russia definitely would have been a player, and all of Europe is a player, and Canada is a player, and of course the United States. So they all looked at it. Well, we better keep it secret. We don't want to get this getting out to the public, and maybe we'll feed them some technology, but we want the super advanced stuff. So he felt in many ways, and I'm adding a few words here. I'm adding some of my own thoughts in the mix here, but when I listened to it, it felt the same as my thoughts had been or have been. So anyways, that was really the two reasons there. So anyways, there was four things, that four conclusions, and I want to do is I want to make this. I need to take a little bit of a break, and I'm going to make my next video. We're going to talk about the four conclusions that were in this study. So hang in there. There'll be a couple of days gap in between, but I'm going to give you some stuff to think about, and I want you to ask me some really good questions about this. And if you have any things that are critical, or if you've already heard about this and you did your own research and some of it seemed to be a little off, or you didn't agree with it, please let me know. Hey, I'm open to all that. I know sometimes you just got to go with the flow, and that's about it. So anyways, until you see your next video, have a great couple days. And if you like us, please like us. We need your subscriptions. If you have anything you want to send on a private email, you can send it to dimensionalwalking@gmail.com. And that's it. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.